there, Conquistadors. I'm Brandon from Table Gaming. Today, I'm going to be giving you hot takes on the new Crucible Will campaign, Banning the Fire. What we're looking at today is what changed from the previous campaign. Did they work in any of the feedback we gave in our kind of retrospective? And then we're going to set up what we're looking forward to play in the future. It is important that this is going to be a hot take video. We're going to do a series of battle reports like we did last time. And at the end, we'll wrap up with how we feel about this campaign and any updates or changes. So stick around for that. And if you haven't seen our last campaign or battle reports, go check that out. Now, we're going to get into it and open it up. So as I'm opening this up and pulling things out, one of our feedbacks from the last campaign was the printed material, some of the armor profiles or unit profiles, and some of the mission setups and what's there. So I'm excited to see what has changed, and if we get some updates to how things work and more clarity around First Blood versus the main game. So opening this up. Put this there. Very similar packaging to the last one. We'll do a zoom up of the miniatures, but we get bag with the Medusae, Sorcerer King, 2 full art cards, and then the character stands as usual. Nice box to hold everything together. I'm going to put this back to the side, and then we're going to go look at the meat, if you will, which is new campaign book. As stated, there is a discount code for the STLs. And I believe one of the things we suggested in the previous is that when you buy things together, as part of buying the campaign, you should get the STLs, the discount, so you don't have to buy the campaign and then go at a later date buy the STLs print. You can get it together. I believe they ran a deal on their web store where you could do that, which was great. Nice full art pictures, lore on setting the state of where we are in the campaign and the lore. There is QR codes to link to the living documents so you can get more lore if you would like, which is nice. Some lore on the Sorcerer King, Skypiercer Yindak. And then we're looking at the profiles. He is a Raj, so he has similar items to that. I will look at the profiles and compare them in a moment. We got a nice map of the world, which is cool. Persenia the Gorgon, we got fluff for her as well as her unit. She is based off the Aristarch, so I'll pull up my phone to compare the profiles. Then we get into the meat of it, in my opinion. I've used that a few times, but I think one of the coolest parts about the first campaign was the storied regiments. Obviously, the characters and models are why most people are buying this, but I think playing the actual campaigns, the thing that kind of set this apart from the normal games with Isaac was these specific units that represent forces and regiments that had a bigger impact or storied history, and then some updated rules to actually exhibit that lore or narrative on the tabletop, which we thought was really good. Obviously, there was some editorial feedback. I'm going to pull up the Conquest app and compare the profiles. One thing that happened at time of this video about, I think, a week or two ago, there was an update to the profiles in Conquest, like they did a big rebalance and shift. So it's going to be, I'm going to compare what's in this document to the base units and see if there's been any changes and if these fit with the current rules or if this is based off the older profile. So I'm going to do that by using the mobile app to pull up the latest. So the first we're going to look at is Cal Etherzy, the Soul Flare, which is based on the Rakasha Bakasura model. So the profile is different. The Rakasha in the app is 260. The one in the storied regiment is 290. The difference is you get 1 extra move, you lose 1 wound, but you pick up 1 evasion. So that's for 30 points. And then their special rule, they both have arrogance. And then the big difference is The storied regiment has I am not going back, which is when the soul flare is destroyed, another friendly, even another player on the same teams, Rakasha, whether that's Bakasura or Ravenar, becomes Kalathra. So when you destroy one, it kind of jumps into the other, which is cool. And then I will not return as a second special rule, which is once per game at the end of an action that leads to the soul flare being destroyed and unable to replace a friendly. You remove all the ritual markers. In addition, all regiments of the Born of Flame special rule within 12 take wounds for each stand, and for each ritual mark removed and each wound inflated, heal the soul flare equal number of wounds. So this feels really good for 30 extra points. You get slightly different stats and the ability to jump to another monster or come back altogether, obviously with some downside. And there is fluff related to this. I'm not going to go through it. If you're interested in this, I highly recommend you buy it because the story regiments are cool. Looking at the empowered version has same 290, I will return, I will not return, and has some extra specials I'm not going to go into. Yeah, once again, this looks pretty up to date with what I'm seeing here. Next one is a Shimmering Guard, which is a special, loyal, and lethal group of soldiers. So we're going to go compare. In the app, 120. In that book, 120. So lines up point-wise. The one extra move in the storied regiment, one extra clash, 4, one less wound, 3 resolve, 2. So yeah, looks pretty. This looks consistent with what I'm seeing. I'm not going to go through everyone, but the first few I'm going to jump ahead to see the city states to see if they've been also updated. Because yeah, once again, one of our feedback from the last one is the story regiment's quality was all over the place. There were some first blood units that had stats of T-Lock, and there were some units that didn't compare well to the base unit. So one thing that I'm checking here, and I'm very excited so far, is this seems to be in line with what we're seeing from the updated rules that they just released. I'm going to check City State. I think they had a few more changes. So let's go browse faction. We're going to jump over to City State. I'm going to pull up the Agma. So in the base game, 170 for Agma, 180 for the Brazen Cohort, which is the adventure-seeking special story regiment. We're looking at same movement. We're looking at same clash, same attack, same wounds, same defense. So very similar. The fluid formation, shield cleave, all the same. So the big thing is for 10 extra points and same amount for additional stands of 50. So essentially you're just paying 10 points for the base unit upgrade. You get the Veteran Gladiator while the core is engaged with the enemy regiment. It gains counterattack and flurry, which is good. And then there's the accompanying First Blood rule. I'm going to actually check that with First Blood because that is one of the feedbacks from the previous video. I want to see if this is an improvement. So Sorcerer States, Agma, okay. 150 lines up. One more move for the special unit. Good, get the things that need to be there. 3, 1 extra clash, which yet once again seems reasonable. Everything else looks the same, and they still have the same veteran. This is great. This is fantastic. I'm not going to go review everyone. I spot checked, and things are lining up, which is great. So, which is what you want. You want the special units in here to stand up and be consistent with the rules, and you want them to have a little bit of power to make them more incentivized to use because that provides a more thematic and narrative experience. So on the profiles, so far great, love them. Consistent with the new rebalance, which I was a little concerned of. And very clearly the First Blood units are First Blood and the T-Lock units are comparable with the T-Lock. So fantastic.
Hey there folks, Editor Isaac here, coming in to say that we gave it a closer look, and unfortunately, there's a storied regiment called the Cedaroi. They are Minotaur Therians. They are blessed by a specific god to be stronger, tougher, etc. than normal Minotaur Therians. Unfortunately, they seem to have missed 2 updates. There was an update that I think lowered the price, increased the wounds, and gave evasion to Minotaur Therians. And then the most recent post-Chios update gave Minotaur Therians tenacious. So basic Minotaur Therian, you'll see on screen, they have 6 wounds, they have 1 evasion, they're 190 points, and they have the Tenacious special rule. The Cedaroi have none of those, so they're 4 wounds, they have no evasion, no Tenacious, but what they do have is they have Overrun, and they cost 40 points more for the unit. So that's kind of disappointing in how this storied regiment is supposed to be some kind of improvement. It's explicitly stated as being stronger and tougher, but it's actually, sure, it's stronger in the sense that it has overrun, which is a good rule, but I don't think it's worth 2 wounds, a point of evasion, and tenacious, and a 40-point increase. Just very disappointing to see. I don't know if they're going to errata this. They didn't errata the last one, so probably not. I just thought it was worth pointing out after we, praised them for everything being mostly in line. But I don't think any of the units that Brandon looked at changed all that much in like the post Hios update. I think the Rakshasa did, and the Talos did a little, but everything like the storied regiments feel in line with those. The only other one is like the Windborn Jin didn't get the +1 barrage, so you're paying extra points for +1 movement and -1 barrage compared to base Jin, which it's a different use of the unit. It's +1 inch movement. Maybe you can get in flanks easier. 10 points might be worth -1 barrage for +1 movement. Who knows? I just, feel like we got to point this out. All right, back to the unboxing.
So now we're gonna get into there's magic items for each. I'm not gonna dig too deep in this. You'll find out more about this as we play the game, but there is 4 special items for each faction, which is cool. In the previous one, you could earn these by doing specific things or hitting certain points and doing things in the campaign. So I'm gonna guess that's the same here. So I'm gonna browse. So the first scenario, under the moon, 2 players, got storied access. Looks like 1 player's in the middle and the other ones go after that. Standard. And this is the T-Lock scenario. Looks cool. There is post-condition winning battles. Scenario 2 is plan gone awry. This looks like a standard normal Conquest game. There's going to be 6 points, 2 objective markers. Throw them in, may bring in reinforcements. The 100-player. Oh, okay. This one is interesting. Okay. So this is very different from the first one. This mission, so specifically Scenario 2, Plan Gone Awry, there's actually 3 players. So it's the Sorcerer King city-state that the campaign is based around, and then there's an additional 100 Kingdom player who acts as Lord Malvinio II, which is a noble lord, and they can't take, there's some restrictions on what they can take. So this is interesting. I like the concept of multiplayer games. I think one thing that's a little challenge is this campaign is kind of being sold as a thing that you and a friend can play. So intermixing multiplayer campaigns might be a challenge for people who have these specific armies. Either they need to make a 3rd army or find a friend who plays 100 Kingdoms in the state. So while a cool concept, it's one of those things that not every player is going to be able to play it. Obviously, Isaac and I are committed on finding and conscripting someone to help us play this for you, the viewer. Scenario 3, Beyond the Minotaur Porta. This is another Last Argument of Kings. So this one is 6 objectives, all considered friendly or city-state, and looks like the Sorcerer Kings are going to be attacking from the other end, so it's like a defense. There's a bunch of special rules, hidden passages, and that sort of things. And there's the standard storied regiments that can take place here, which looks great. Player 1, player 3. So that looks cool. Yeah, that looks like a nice, attack the objectives. Nothing out of the ordinary. Battlefield for Bubalia, which is the 4th scenario. This has additional storied characters this time, so not regiments. So there's a special Ionis, the a Partros, and the blade, which is a Sardar, which looks good. Yeah, once again, seems in line with the other items. There's more special characters and suggestions for the storied regiments that you can bring along, which is great. Suggestion of which terrain. And this looks like there's two 9-inch objectives on the side, one 6-inch in the middle, standard items. This one is set for 2v2 rules. So it looks like the way you do this is you have 2 players with one side being 2 city-states and one side being 2 Sorcerer Kings. So this seems like a good way to do a multiplayer game. If you have friends who play or are interested or have a large enough collection, you can play with friends and just do a big game. If you don't, you can just play a larger game with one player on each side. So this feels like something that's a little easier to get off the ground. But it does have special rules specifically for playing the 2v2 rules. So if you don't set that up and can't play it, this kind of area doesn't need to be here. So yeah, once again, the last one was very much pitched as one Dwag player versus one city-state player. And you and a friend who could have those armies could buy it. You each get a character and play through it. This one looks like there's a little bit more setup if you want to play it ideally as the designers have intended, which I like doing interesting things. But yet, once again, if you don't have people in the area who play these armies or want to, or a big enough collection, it might be hard to organize things. And in general, with these games, the more organization with other players is hard. So then the Sorcerer King victory, then have the after action reports. So yeah, looks good. I will say that it's 4 missions and 2 of them are multiplayer and 1 has a city-state required force, which is a little challenging. I guess we'll play these, give you the feeling, but in general, I think that for the price point and what you get, 4 mainline standard 1v1 missions are great, and then having the multiplayer, the kind of quote-unquote crazier items be like an additional, 5th or 6th scenario as optional that can maybe earn special points or artifacts or maybe upgrade or change storied regiments might be an interesting way to do it. Because, yeah, once again, if you don't have a friend who can play the 100 Kingdoms, it might be a little challenging. The first mission is First Blood. I don't think I mentioned that. So there is one First Blood mission. Obviously, I like the full rank and flank, but it's their system. The models are interplayable. I get why they do that. So far, exciting on all of these items. I think the one takeaway is the 2 of the 4 missions being multiplayers could be challenged, and the Sorcerer having a third-party faction involved is cool, but yeah, once again, to play that mission as intended, you're going to need another collection. Obviously, Josias play a campaign, so that makes we have it, and we can just press gang someone, but not everyone's going to have that. Yeah, once again, we'll post pictures on Instagram and other areas, and you'll see them as we play the game. Special models are great. Their resin is very crisp. Not a lot of flash. There's a little bit here, but look, I just popped it off. It's fine. To clean up, the mold lines are easily scrapable or sandable. Obviously, scraping's better. It is resin. You don't want that in your lungs. And they look great. I think most people will be buying this set because they're interested in these models because they are very cool. That was one of the big takeaways from the previous one. Oh, this guy's got a little hat. That's awesome. It fits right. That's cool. I didn't think that would line up so quick. I know sometimes when you have models, they don't cast so well, but they look great. All the parts are here. The spear isn't bent. I'm going to quickly pull out the Gorgon. Gorgon looks a little fiddlier. There's some more and smaller pieces. Yeah, once again, cast very well. Really good detail. She's got very good abs, so strong person. The leg looks small, but there's actually a very nice slot to fit in. That'll line up really well. Sword, shield detail all look fantastic. And I think with the Gorgon, the most important part is the snake, the head, because it's got the snake hair. Looks excellent on here. We're going to be doing a quick zoom in on the models. I think most players are here to be buying this. As you can see, this is the Sorcerer King, counts as a Raj. I think a lot of people will be using this. So easy, as you can see, very little cleanup at all. Very solid, very nice casting, very crisp detail with all the ornaments, the muscle, the fabric. The parts are very easy to log in, and they all have nice peg systems, so that'll fit right there. As you see, just finger fit. It fits good. You can obviously put a little putty or anything if you want to fully. I think paint honestly would fill that gap. Spear needs a little bit of straightening, but it's really nice. You know, a little bit of stuff to clean up in the spear, but it's very intricate, makes sense. The glove, very nice, fits in nicely. One detail that I thought is wild is some people might leave them without a hat, or you can put the turban on. That is cool that you have this, and it's fully cast, so if you don't want to leave it, like if you want to leave it off, looks great. So that's a cool little detail. Obviously, I think the hat's cool. I put it on, but fantastic detail. Everything looks great. I'm gonna put this to the side. I'm gonna grab the next one. This is the Aristarch, counts as, it's the Gorgon. Put that to the side. This model, obviously, smaller, a little more lithe, right there. But once again, great detail on everything. Everything's looking really good. We got a nice scabbard. A little more parts on this. The head looks fantastic. Fits in great right there. You can see all the snakes for the Gorgon, which look fantastic. Nice detail there. We got the sword and shield arm. The leg, it is small, but it does have a nice large peg to fit right there, so it has a nice stable grip. Then we got the other arm here with the interesting shaped sword. Goes right there. So fantastic detail, looks great. If you buy this just for the models, I think you'll be very happy. Everything's crisp, very little cleanup. A little bit more on the Gorgon, a little bit smaller of a model, so this might be a little more challenging than the counts as Raj, but fantastic. If you're buying it for this, you'll be happy. The missions look fantastic, and we'll play through this, continue watching the channel. We're very excited for this, and once we get through, we'll give the honest takes. We'll see if the multiplayer missions are awesome, if having a 100 Kings player adds a lot to the experience, and any other things that we notice, and we'll get them back to you guys. Thanks for tuning in. As always, like, subscribe, follow, check us out. If you are interested in getting into this or buying this campaign package, check the description. We do have an affiliate code that helps us when you use that code to purchase on Parabellum's website. We appreciate everything. We obviously have bought a lot of the product to make all these different armies built and painted, so every little bit does help. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.